Our 90-day all-access package is always incredibly popular at the start of football, but we've made it even better. Not only do we discount the 90-day all-access package to $7.99, but until August 29th, we've added 30 days. That's right, until Sunday, August 29th, you get 120 days of the most action-packed sports month for only $7.99. That would include the rest of the NFL preseason, all MLB plays through the World Series, the entire college football regular season, at least 15 weeks of the NFL, over 2 months of the NHL and NBA, over 6 weeks of college basketball, plus any soccer, UFC, Asian baseball, Asian basketball, golf, and any other sports your favorite Kappa releases. The most action-filled 120 days of the sports year are yours for only $7.99.
Hey guys, happy Thursday. Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com with another edition of Stoppage Time. This is the EPL edition, but boy, I'm excited. Why am I excited? At noon Eastern time today, the Champions League draw. We finally get to see what the groups are going to be. They'll draw into obviously groups of 4. It's absolutely loaded this year. If you look at the teams that are in this year's competition, and a first-time team, believe it or not, from Moldova, as Sheriff made it in, holding on yesterday against Dinamo Zagreb. So we will discuss that on next Tuesday's show when we have odds on the groups and group winners. To discuss this week's or weekend's EPL card from SportsMemo, it's Pavlos Laguretos, and from WagerTalk.com, it's Nick Borrman and Kevin Dolan. Pavlos, I'm going to bring you in first. You are the capper of the week. You have a 10% play on the weekend. I am going to give out a coupon code to get 50% off of that just before you preview a game in the MLS that also goes this weekend. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, doing great. It's been a couple of weird days, but still I had a win and a loss yesterday. Still plus units on of profit. But yeah, super excited for the weekend. I also have a couple of other cards loaded for today, tomorrow, and Saturday. And of course, this huge 10-unit play of the month going live on Sunday.
Awesome. It's good to see that Ocean Air has kept you motoring along on a good run. Nick Borrman coming off a win yesterday, 5% play on Red Bull Salzburg, the other Red Bull team. 19-5 since May with these 5% plays. How you doing?
Yeah, it's been a good run with the 5% for sure. MLS has been doing excellent with those, 7-1 on the season. So hoping to continue that, although I don't like this weekend's card all that much. But looking forward to talking Premier League. So far, so good. That's been my best league through the first 2 weeks of the year. So I'm going to keep focusing there and hope for the best as we go. But excited to chat a few games, big games this weekend.
Definitely some big games, and we'll get to them in a minute, but we have to bring in the Irishman, Kevin Dolan, 25-10-2 with 5% plays. That's a pretty solid run, my friend. How's it going, and what do you have going on?
Yeah, all good. Carmine actually went to bed at 8:30 last night, got a ton of sleep, borrowed some of my wife's cucumber face masks as well. You know, mainly due to Nick's absolutely unwarranted criticism of my face on Tuesday's show. Took that very hard, took it personally. So apart from that, huge 5% loaded up for today, actually, Europa Conference League. But I actually had to take it off the board because the line went crazy over the last 12 hours or so. So, you know, congrats to everyone who jumped on that. And just finalising the weekend card right now as well. So, you know, looking forward to talking some soccer as well in today's show.
That's it. This is what happens when you let Nick Borrman know what your play is. The man with the new addition to the family needs that diaper money, so and formula money. So maybe next time wait a day or two before you give him that play, Kev. All right, guys, listen, let's get right to it. We've got 3 games in the EPL. I want to hear what you guys have to say, and let's jump right in. I love this game as far as early on in the season, 3 games in, and look at this. We've got Liverpool and Chelsea. Liverpool plus 140 at home, the draw plus 240, Chelsea plus 187, and the total is 2.5. Like I mentioned, you look at these 2 teams, 2-0 to start the season. same score lines. 3-0 in their opening games, 2-0 in their second game of the season, and atop the league thus far. Pavlos, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Give me your thoughts on this game.
I seriously love the under in this match. First of all, I'm going to start off by saying that 6 of the last 7 EPL matches between the two sides in this venue had under 2.5 goals. When you look at both defenses so far in the season, of course, it's a small, a small. They've only played two matches each, but their defenses look really great. Of course, Liverpool played against Norwich and Burnley, who are not notorious for their, offensive prowess, but they did great. They didn't allow a lot of shots on their target. Same goes for Chelsea. They picked up where they left off last season. Of course, they played against Palace and Arsenal, which was actually a pretty nice match because they didn't allow Arsenal to do a whole lot of, they didn't operate a lot up front. So I still have a thing about Tuchel using Marcos Alonso at the left back, but he knows what he's doing. Alonso just scored at the opener, and he's doing a really solid job to safeguard Chelsea's defense. So Liverpool look a lot more healthier this season. Jota and the Greek guy Tsimikas, they're doing a great job so far in the season. Tsimikas, he handed out an assist to Jota, and Liverpool didn't use Bobby Firmino up front. They only subbed him in at the 81st minute, but Jota did a great job. So the way I look at this, these two defenses will keep on, being great. So I don't expect to see a lot of goals, especially with the history in this matchup, and with both teams looking to keep up their unbeaten streak. So I would actually be surprised if we saw a lot of goals here. So my play that I really like here is under 2.5 goals at -120.
All right, Pavlos Laguretos of Sports Memo. He will preview a game later on in the MLS as our capper of the week. Kev, I'm going to go to you next on this one. This is the first real test for both these teams. You look at Chelsea, their first couple of games, a toothless Crystal Palace squad, and then Arsenal, who are just in deep trouble thus far early in the season. And we're going to look at an Arsenal game up next. And you look at Liverpool, Burnley, who, they gave go taking for a possible 6 points, but not the same team obviously this year. And they knocked off Norwich, the newly promoted side that obviously struggled in round 1 of the new season. Thoughts here on this one? It's an acid test early on.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like Liverpool here, actually, especially off scratch. I think Anfield will be absolutely electric. It's the standalone evening kickoff as well. And I just don't see Chelsea being nearly as effective. And you know how I am on this team, as they were against Arsenal last week. I know Liverpool's issues at the back end of last season, obviously, stick in people's minds, stick in their memory. They went through a really tough stretch of results, if we remember, at home last season, especially. And, beating kind of 2 tomato cans in Norwich and Burnley probably does little, to dispel that image either. But I think Liverpool are the value here. That Virgil van Dijk, Joel Matip partnership at the back for Liverpool looks very effective to me. Is Lukaku going to get anywhere near that same kind of traction against Virgil van Dijk that he did last week against Mari and Holden? I doubt that very much. Van Dijk looks back to his best. So, I think the other factor here is I think Tuchel will play not to lose here more than anything else. I don't see him pushing the tempo here. I don't see him pushing for a win, as I would imagine him viewing a draw at Anfield against an almost full-strength Liverpool side will be seen almost as a win for him here, I'd imagine. While I think it's different in terms of Liverpool. They'll be the ones, in my opinion, to be more adventurous here. We've seen that displayed by Klopp before in previous games he's had against the Big Four, where, he's not afraid to be less pragmatic, and that cost him sometimes last season. Honestly, though, I think I could see a draw here, in all honesty. I think that's the most likely scenario here, considering what's at stake. But, if I had to choose a side here, it is going to be Liverpool on the draw no bet line, as I think getting them at home at this price, even against this Chelsea side, is the value side of the play here. And that 1-1 correct score also looks appealing at +600. I like that price. So, yeah, Liverpool on the handicap. The under, as Pavlos mentioned, I like that as well. Under 2.5 looks decent as well. And the draw probably presents the best overall value in this game to me, that 1-1 scoreline in particular. So, there's plenty of ways to attack this game from a betting perspective. But, yeah, all of them, in each of those, I'm definitely not opposing Liverpool in this spot.
Yeah, Kevin, I have to agree with you on that. This is a much better defensive side in Chelsea since Tuchel took over. And we know Liverpool now back to full strength with Virgil van Dijk anchoring that back line. They're a much better team. Nick, I can go to you next on this one for the final word. These two teams split their games last season, both teams winning on the road. Liverpool winning in round 2-0 at Stamford, but an early or first half red to Christensen in that one put Chelsea behind the 8 ball, and that was when they were managed by Frank Lampard. And then Tuchel took over midway through the season. Chelsea went to Anfield, got the 1-0 win there. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, for me, it's the under all the way here. It's absolutely defenses. I don't see a ton of space either for these teams in this game. Chelsea, second in the league last year, expected goals allowed, 0.82 per game. Liverpool, we know, didn't have the best year statistically, but we all know they were a shell of themselves with all the injuries they had. And really, from 2 years ago, their drop was inevitable. I think we all predicted that they just couldn't sustain the success they had in those close games. But it was probably overdone last year because of the injuries. Still, they had the third best expected goal differential in the league, even with all of that going on. So it's not like they were a bad team by any means. But forget all that. The history between these teams is unders. Dating back to 2015, these teams have met 18 times between Premier League, the 2 cup competitions, and even the Super Cup, UEFA Super Cup in 2019. 13 of those 18 meetings have stayed under 2.5 goals, with a 1-1 score coming through 6 times. So I'll of course default to Pavlos on the correct score, but Kevin hit the same 1-1-1, which is plus 600. You would be killing it if you just bet that every team's played. So I really like the under here. I think it's going to be tight. I'm struggling with the side, so I like the total. I'll throw one little thing out there I found very interesting that I guess it backs up Kevin's side on Liverpool is Virgil van Dijk has played 48 matches for Liverpool at Anfield. He has never lost. I don't know, food for thought.
Wow.
Something to keep in mind. So keep that in mind, but I'm liking the under on this one.
I like that little statistic, tossing those ones in. Nick Borrman, WagerTalk.com. All right, guys, let's go to the second one. This is the early kickoff on Saturday morning. Man City and Arsenal. Let's have a look at the odds here. Man City minus 450. The draw is plus 500. Arsenal plus 1100. If you like them, that's a juicy price. And the total here is 3. Kev, I'm going to go to you first on this one. It's early in the season, but two former, Arteta and obviously in Pep Arteta, the assistant manager originally under Pep, and he's got to be in the hot seat here early on in the season. And a lot of talk, as you mentioned before we hit the air. Can't bet it here, but Cristiano Ronaldo, Man City, minus 225 to make the move, I think, at one of the books out your way. Give me your thoughts on this game and maybe a quick rundown on that one.
I think somebody better call the cops because I can see a massacre happening here Saturday. Look, I thought it was pretty comical last night in the cup. I was on West Brom, obviously the wrong side there, but West Brom effectively fielded an underage squad in that cup game. I think it was under 21, under 23. It was all backup players. They simply didn't care about the match at all against Arsenal, happy enough to roll over, focus on that fantastic championship run. West Brom are a team I've been backing since the start of the year, and they've been on fire as they're sitting joint first in the table right now down the championship, while on the other side, Arsenal went full strength, absolutely hell for leather in that game, fielded a full-strength squad from the get-go. And to me, at least, it looked like watching the game, Arteta, especially after the start Arsenal have had to kick off their Premier League campaign, he was just terrified of losing in that game. I mean, you can imagine the headlines if he had crashed out of the cup last night, especially at this stage. You know, his odds in the sack race after an 0-2 start and not even scoring a Premier League goal yet would have absolutely went through the roof. But, you know, just my main takeaway from last night's game was the fact, you know, this is Arsenal now. You know, this is a team, they're so far removed from the alpha pack at the top these days that, you know, they're prioritising midweek cup games against lower league opposition instead of standalone weekend games against the champions. So, you know, I don't think that bodes well, particularly well for them ahead of this weekend's clash against City, in all honesty. You know, I think Arteta is just looking to get into the international break at this stage. I think he will see his season effectively start from then almost, you know, kind of erase these opening 3 games from the record, look to start fresh. And, you know, in fairness, in 2 of those games at least, he was expected to lose, so it's not the most surprising string of results. And I know I'm talking as if he's already lost this game, but I really do think it's inevitable almost, you know. But it's just Arsenal's attitude right now. You know, they seem content just to go, okay, well, you know, we can't beat the top 4, so let's look at picking up points against the bottom half teams and prioritise those games instead. And, you know, it is just a bit of a shock for me, at least, you know, living through that Arsene Wenger era, you know, especially the first half of that era, when this was a bona fide top 4 club every single season. You know, to see them where they are now, simply miles and miles off the pace in terms of anything title related. And, you know, if we're being honest, they're probably struggling to be top 4 in London right now, never mind anything else. You know, I have to say, I think they did start well against Chelsea going back to last week's game. You know, bright start for Arsenal. But, you know, in typical fashion for them, as soon as that first Lukaku goal went in after 15 minutes, you know, the heads dropped, down tools, and it was roll over and tickle my belly time for Arsenal. You know, never really looked like getting back into that game from that point on. So, you know, that complete lack of character, you know, that's been a characterization of Arsenal for a while now. And especially when you've got City on deck here, you know, that is really concerning to me. And, you know, even catching plus 1.75 in this one, I simply, you know, I can't make a case for taking Arsenal here, even at that line. You know, as I said, I think Arteta's just looking to get to the international break at this point. Arsenal host Norwich at the Emirates the weekend after next. And I think that will be effectively a new season for the Gunners there. And also a potentially great time to jump in and back them finally. But in terms of this weekend, you know, I really do fear for their chances in this game. It's got to be City for me. I think they win this game by margin. At minus 1.5, it's definitely a play for me. At minus 1.75, you know, that extra quarter goal does make a difference, so probably a little less so, but even still, it's City or pass for me here on Saturday against Arsenal.
Yeah. Kevin Dolan of WagerTalk.com. Hi to the guys in the chat. You guys are active in there. Thanks for dropping in. Iris, John, Sean, Tokyo Brandon, who was one of our Tuesday $2 cappers, and he used the Twitter voodoo to get the win. Well done there, sir, on your win. Pavlos, I'm going to go to you next on this one, and I have to agree with Kev. But listen, it's been 8 straight Premier League wins for Man City over Arsenal. They seem to hold over them, and they should, as you know, they're obviously the better side here. I'm not going to lay 450 on this. The halftime, full time on City, if you think they're going to come out and attack early on and get that lead, minus 125 on the halftime, full time. Pavlos, thoughts on this game and possibly that prop?
Yeah, I love that. Arsenal have been struggling a lot, especially up front, so early in the season. Aubameyang is not at 100%. In the last match against Chelsea, they used Martinelli up front. And Saka is also, he received a minor knock, a knee-to-knee challenge, and I think he's going to be unavailable. Maybe Aubameyang starts. We haven't seen a lot of him this season so far. But there's something wrong with Arsenal. They're still trying to shape up their defense. They made a lot of changes again. Still, they conceded a couple of goals to Brentford, a couple of goals to Chelsea. Of course, they beat West Brom by 6-0 in the EFL Cup midweek. But, you know, that's West Brom and probably their B team. Aubameyang did get hot. He scored a hat-trick there. And Lacazette also got in the score sheet. So maybe their offensive problems will come to an end soon, but this is just a really hard match for them, especially as Manchester City. They're a much better team. Pep is like Arteta's father. He knows whatever Arteta knows. He knows it from Pep. So when you look at the matches the EPL matches between the two sides since Arteta took over Arsenal, they all had 3 goals or more. So the way I look at this is taking the under 3 goals. I think this might be like a 3-0 win, a 2-0 win for Manchester City. I also like Manchester City to win 2-0. Wink, wink, Kevin Dolan. However, I don't really, I kind of like it, but I also don't like it because, I just said that Arsenal's attackers are heating up. So maybe they can score against City here, but I seriously like the under 3 goals here.
All right, Pavlos Laguretos of Sports Memo, liking the under. Nick, I'm going to give you the final word on this one with this Arsenal team. Yeah, they won 6-0. They literally started their full squad for all intents and purposes, and I get it. You've got to give Aubameyang and Lacazette some time. They're both coming off of COVID protocols, which led them to miss some of the action in the first couple of games. But this is a completely different squad that they're going to face on the road, and I just don't see how they turn it around after their first couple of games. Is this one of those the run out of the building 3-0 type games?
Probably. I just want to say, Kevin, this guy's gold on this show. One week he talks about liking young boys, and he backs it up with a tickle my belly in his breakdown of the Arsenal game this week. It's amazing. Kevin, you're amazing in these breakdowns. I love it, man. This game, I think we're obviously all in agreement as far as nobody's getting behind Arsenal. You just can't. But I'll throw out there, we joke about it in our group chats every week. It's the curse of the early game here, so do be careful. It is the early game on Saturday, and we never seem to do well on these early games. But that being said, I don't know how anybody can make an argument for Arsenal. I'm going to take a little bit from Kevin and a little bit from Pavlos here. Kevin obviously likes the side of Man City. We all agree with that. Pavlos mentioned the under 3 goals. Well, if you play the combination of Man City to win and under 3.5 goals, so you get yourself an extra half a goal, that combo is at plus 105 right now. So I think that's a fantastic way to play this game. It covers you at 2-0, 3-0, even a 2-1 if Arsenal does sneak in one. There's a lot of different ways to cash this ticket at that Man City plus under 3.5 goal market. So I think it's a great way to play this game. You guys hit on the history between the teams, totally lopsided on City's side. In the last 10 meetings between them, City has won 9. The one was a cup match that they didn't win, and they kept 7 clean sheets along the way. So it's pretty impressive. And then Arsenal actually kept the 1 clean sheet in that cup game. So both teams to score no has come through in 8 of the last 10 meetings. Man City to win to 0 has come 7 of the last 10 meetings. So a couple other good trends that point to what we all expect to happen here. So both teams to score no is currently in the minus 130, minus 140 range. Man City to win a 0 is even money, plus 100. But my favorite, Man City and under 3.5 goals for a little plus money right now at plus 105.
All right, I like it. Nick Borrman, WagerTalk.com. Guys, before we head into the final game, which is a Sunday Premier League game between Wolves and Man United, we are going to do our Capper of the Week segment. This is a segment we do every Thursday where one of the cappers will break down a game on the weekend. And he also has a play up on the weekend, and I'm going to give you all the coupon code for that one once he's done with his preview. This week it's Pavlos. We're going to bring Pavlos in to preview the MLS game that goes this weekend, the rivalry, Portland and Seattle. The odds are up there on the screen. You can see them. Seattle a slight favorite at home, whether it's the side, total, or the draw, or something different. Let's bring in Pavlos Laguretos to break this game down for us.
Yeah, I love this the Cascadia derbies between the Sounders and the Timbers. I'm a Sounders fan. So, the Sounders have been doing a great job this season. They're leading the Western Conference with 42 points. They have 12 wins, 3 losses, and 6 draws. They've been great at home with 5 wins, 2 losses, and 4 draws, but they've kept just 2 clean sheets in the last 8. They've had a lot of injury concerns, a lot of players who missed on the international duty, but their squad is slowly healing up. Most of their players are back. Same goes for the Timbers. They also had a lot of injury concerns to start the season, but there are some vast differences between the two sides. The Sounders are coming off 3 consecutive wins. one of which was a 6-2 thrashing of the Timbers back in Portland, while the Timbers have only won just one of their last 7 matches. They have 1 win, 4 losses, and 2 draws. However, the Timbers on the road, they've been terrible. They have 1 win, 7 losses, and 2 draws on the road, which is the second worst away record in the conference. They've scored just 10 goals and they've conceded 24 goals. So both teams scored in 7 of their 10 away matches, and the Timbers kept just 1 clean sheet on the road. So they do score a lot, but they also concede a lot. And it's very interesting when the Sounders host the Timbers, because the Sounders have actually won just 1 of their last 7 matches at home against the Timbers. They have 1 win, 4 losses, and 2 draws, which is really weird, but it's a Cascadia derby, and the Portland Timbers always show up in Seattle. So when you look at the last 7 matches between the two sides in this venue, they had both teams to score in each of the last 8 matches. Each of the last 8 matches between the two sides in this venue had both teams to score, and the same stat showed up in 11 of the last 12 matches between the two sides in this venue. Now, there was the MLS All-Star match yesterday, where the Sounders had 6 players, but none of them played a lot. So I expect them all to be back for Sunday's match, and I expect a very competitive match between the two sides. So my play for this match is both teams to score at -130. I expect both teams to show up. I'm not picking a side here, but I seriously like the both teams to score because both teams have produced a lot of both teams to score so far in the season, both at home and on the road, and the history is just very, very favorable in this play. So I like both teams to score at -130 here.
All right, there you go, guys. Our capper of the week, Pavlos Laguretos, with a breakdown. And he has a 10-unit play up this weekend over at SportsMemo. You can get 50% off that play with coupon code PAV50, P-A-V 50. So head over to SportsMemo and pick that play up for this weekend. All right, guys, final game of the EPL. This one goes on Sunday, and then we're off on an international break for a couple of weeks. We'll be back on Tuesday, obviously, to talk the Champions League draw and some international matches. But this is the final game of the EPL weekend. Wolves and Man United. Wolves plus 375 here. The draw is plus 250. Man United, a small favorite at -134. The total here is 2.5. Nick, I'm going to go to you first on this one, but I'm going to throw something out there. I say it, you guys know it. I keep reiterating the fact United have talent on that team, but I just think they still need a different manager. I don't think Ole is the guy to get them there. We saw what a managerial change can do to a team like Chelsea. I still think they need it, but they have faith in Ole, so we'll see how that goes. Wolves, despite losing both games to start the season 1-0, I watched that game against Tottenham, and they look pretty good in that game. They just need to find the back of the net. It's going to come at some point. Plus 375. Is that tempting at all to you?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, yeah, the Wolves did look very good in that game, especially the second half. I was on the Wolves plus a quarter of a goal, so unlucky, I think, in my opinion, not to get at least a draw there. I still think it was the right side. And then you got United, who probably were the right side as well. They put up 2.26 expected goals to just 0.59 for Southampton. Of course, couldn't get more than the 1-1 draw. Usually an angle I like in these games is a team that plays well the week prior but doesn't get a result to kind of back them up the following week. But you have both of these teams coming in with that same angle this week. So the side's tough. I mean, I don't think any of us would argue that United are the better side. I just don't know if I trust them right now laying this on the road, the Wolves team, who have been very, very well and defensively have been very tough. Even in the first game against Leicester, they lost 1-0, but they only allowed 0.67 expected goals to Leicester there. So they haven't scored yet in either game, but it's not like they've been playing poorly, and their defense has been solid. So I look back towards another under here. I think Wolves will do a good job of controlling United. United, on the same token, have allowed 0.57 and 0.59 expected goals in their 2 games. So it's not like, I don't think Wolves will have the free space like we saw against Tottenham in the last game. So I think it's going to be tight both ways. And I think it's 5 of the last 6 meetings between these teams has finished under this total as well. So the trend's pointing that way also. So I'm thinking low scoring. I'm thinking tight. I'm thinking under.
Yeah, there's a lot of clean sheets when you're looking at some of the past performances on this one, Pavlos, and I tend to agree. I mean, like United, obviously, 5-1 win in their first game of the season against Leeds, but their goal expectancy, on that one, the final numbers was 1.6, which tells you they obviously overperformed. And then that game against Southampton, they didn't look great trying to break down Southampton, which was a bit of a surprise for myself. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with Nick, because one of my thoughts was the over 2.5 goals, but then I pivoted to both teams to score at minus 115. When you look at matches between the two sides, I really like checking the history between the two sides. 4 of the last 5 EPL matches between the two sides in this venue had both teams to score. Wolves, as you mentioned, Carmine, they were excellent against Tottenham, and it's sad that they didn't score, but I think they'll be quite eager, to score the first goal of the season. I think they're going to do it against a Manchester United side that didn't keep a clean sheet against Southampton and Leeds, which are, I guess, teams of similar strength. So yeah, Manchester United, they've done a great job in the match against Leeds, but against Southampton they kind of struggled. And even Southampton, I mean, they're not even great defensively this season. They completely revamped their defense, and even against them, Manchester United had the trouble scoring. So yeah, the way I look at this is both teams to score, maybe a 1-1. I'm still going back and forth as far as the over goes, but I like both teams to score here.
All right, both teams to score, and we keep mentioning that obviously that game, Wolves against Tottenham last weekend. Wolves losing 1-0 at home, 25 attempts on goal, only 6 shots, losing 1-0. A questionable VAR penalty 9 minutes into the game gave Tottenham their one and only goal. We have to end this final game, obviously, with the Irishmen. Let's give them the last word. Kev?
Well, I was on United last week, and as you said at the top of this segment, Solskjaer to me again, just showing he's not at this level. I suppose when you had that looming spectre of Jose Mourinho, anybody would have been an improvement, because while he's a great tactician, no one was playing for him at that club. So when Solskjaer comes in, who is a likable personality, it allowed guys like Pogba to play freely. And it's really the team getting the results and less the management, as he continually comes up short in the big games. But, I was chatting to some guys over here the week before that game, pretty much after the 5-1 win against Leeds. And, it was all Ole's back, and that was a good Leeds team, and United absolutely destroyed them and so on. And I was like, you lads really need to pump the brakes on this team. The reason, if anyone's interested, I was on United last week, wasn't anything to do with them in particular. I was just bearish on how dismal Southampton looked this season. I think this is by far the weakest iteration, this Southampton side, that we've seen, since they came up almost 10 years ago. No Danny Ings, no Yannick Vestergaard, and so on. So I thought even United, a team that don't particularly trust in, would still have the ability to get the job done in that game. And yet again, they came up short. But saying that, if I had to look at a team in this game for Sunday, it would probably still be United. If they go into the international break, 4 or 5 points, that's, they may as well pack it in for the season, because they're not going to win the league, getting a win, a loss, and a draw over the first 3 games, or, whoever. They need a win here. So it's got to be a best effort. And, I've been impressed, as the guy said, I've been impressed by Wolves as well over their first 2 games. No points, no goals over those 2 outings. But they've faced 2 very good teams in Leicester and Tottenham, and arguably should have won both, but for some poor finishing, especially by Traore. So there's plenty to like about this Wolves team right now, especially under Bruno Lage. And I just can't see the way Wolves are playing right now, how they remain scoreless in this league much longer. Such an attacking brand of football. So I also like goals. I think goals are the way to play this one. Over 2.25 is going off at around minus 135 right now. And to me, that's some really good value, especially considering United come off that really, really substandard draw last time out against Southampton. And, this Wolves team who just continue to play with attack and threat, but just haven't seen the ball bounce their way as of yet. So I haven't decided completely what way I'm going to attack this game yet, but it will involve goals to some degree for sure. So, with Pavlos said, maybe both teams to score. But yeah, over 2.25 minus 135 for me. Sign me up for a bit of that.
All right, Kevin Dolan, WagerTalk.com. And yeah, guys, I agree with you. The problem here is, and I say it, in having done this for so long, you look at a team and they're playing extremely well, but they lose 1-0. They lose another game 1-0, and against very good teams, you're like, they're going to play better. They're going to put in a showing, and then they come out absolutely flat, and this could end up, United winning this game 4-1, and we're like, on Tuesday, we're our head between our knees looking back at this result. But hopefully a good performance from them. I'm not sure as well which way I'm going, but I do like the plays that you guys are talking about, both teams to score and maybe some goals here. Hopefully, obviously, we'll get on the board first. Guys, in our chat, hit that like button for these guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget, Pavlos is our capper of the week. He has a 10% play up this weekend. You can get 50% off that play with coupon code PAV50, PAV50. We're going to be back on Tuesday. We are going to cover some discussion on the Champions League draw, which goes today at noon Eastern time. It's an absolutely stacked tournament this year. I'm really looking forward to it. And then it's the international break. We're going to have about 10 days of World Cup qualifiers across Europe and South America. So we'll have some games, some of the big games that we will preview on Tuesday's show. So make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And as always, good luck with your wagers.
College football is right around the corner, and we have a fantastic deal up at WagerTalk to get the most out of your season. Kevin Dolan, the Irishman, has got an incredible 105, 68, and 3 on all 4 and 5% college best bets since joining WagerTalk for over 127 units in total profit. If that wasn't enough, Kevin has also added over 78 units on all soccer best bets to the client bankroll since May as well. For a limited time only, you can pick all of Kevin's college and soccer plays combined into one huge package that takes you right through the end of the year for only $649. That's less than half the price as Kevin continues to be lights out on all top plays across both sports. Don't miss out as Kevin looks primed for yet another standout year in college and soccer.